Hello Gunners! What a night in Madrid. Arsenal went to the Santiago Bernabeu, beat Real Madrid on their own turf and booked a long-awaited place in the Champions League semi-finals. It was a performance full of maturity, intense, confident and full of personality. In this video, we'll break down the reaction to this historic win. ESPN's pundits couldn't stop praising Mikel Arteta's team. Arsenal earned respect and then some. Stay with us until the end, because today's analysis is special. Arsenal didn't just win, they dominated.
As well as we welcome in Frank Leboeuf. Craig, we're going to talk about Real Madrid a lot, obviously, and what's happened. But let's focus, shall we, on this tie over the two legs, where Arsenal were superior in every way.
Every department, without a recognised striker. Mikel Merino's done a good job. We talked about the wide players being a big threat. Bukayo Saka coming back from injury and Martinelli. We talked about Real Madrid's weak points. There are many, but certainly two of them are the full-back areas, so they get exploited there. They got exploited in the middle of the park over the two legs, and that's another weak point for Real Madrid. And Arsenal, we know they're strong in there. Partey, who's going to be missing, you mentioned it. Declan Rice, who would walk into this Real Madrid side, by the way, and Martin Odegaard, who used to be at Madrid as a youngster and is now pulling the strings for Arsenal. The one downside was the Saliba mistake to the night. It didn't alter anything. I don't think David Raya, and this is modern football, you use your brains, you're 3-0 up or whatever, and you go 4-0, it's dead. I don't roll it out to the box. We just squeeze up, don't give them anything. Considering how Arsenal have played this season at times in the Premier League, they turned up big time in the quarter-final, and Real Madrid did not.
Yeah, and in both legs as well, because we talked about how if you want to take it to Real Madrid, now is the time to do it, and Arsenal did that despite all the noise and look at the welcome and the bus is getting and remontada talk. Arsenal didn't let that affect them at all.
No, they beat Real Madrid with two things that Real Madrid simply do not have and haven't had the whole season: structure and organization. Quality of play through all your lines, because up until the Saliba mistake today, you also have to say that defensively Arsenal were excellent in denying opportunities to Mbappe, denying opportunities to Vinicius, denying opportunities to Bellingham, denying opportunities to Rodrigo. In fact, you would have to ask, were those guys even out on the field? And I think that's the credit of Arsenal in how good they were in terms of their organization and their structure. And then today they showed something that I don't know whether we're too sure that Arsenal actually had coming into this round of games against Real Madrid, and that is personality, character. Yeah, we're going into Madrid, but they didn't just sit back. When there were opportunities to get out in transition, they did so. When there were opportunities to keep the ball, they tried to do so as well. It wasn't as if we're afraid of the history, we're afraid of the magic, we're going to take a step back. No, they took a step forward when they needed to. Very disciplined, very mature, very professional performance from Arsenal. I thought over the two legs, they were far superior to Real Madrid, but especially and particularly when it comes to organization and structure.
They've given Real Madrid a drubbing over two legs, and if we're being honest, but for Thibaut Courtois in two games, this could have been easily 7 or 8. Easily. And I think that tells you where Real Madrid are at this moment in time. And once again, he was there, as you were saying during the game, he was easily their best player again.
Before we get to Real Madrid, word on Arsenal, who in particular caught the eye for you over these two legs, Frank?
Oh, there is only one guy for me. I mean, we are all happy to see Saka's back, but Declan Rice was the man of the two legs. I mean, the work that he did today, how he worked, you know, I love that guys. We used to call them water carriers player because you don't see them, they're in the shadow and they work for the others, but over the two legs, he showed his talent, his skills, scoring the 2 free kicks, but also today, handling the middle of the park like a masterpiece. He did everything perfect. Even Kylian Mbappe was upset with him, tried to get the ball, got injured, but he was there. He was also working with his partners, you know, as a leader, saying, calm down, was upset against Thomas Partey. That guy showed to the world that he's one of the best, as we called before, number 6 in the world, for sure.
Yeah, Declan Rice, of course, costs 100 million. It's not like that he came to Arsenal cheap, but in days like today, goodness me, you're getting your money's worth.
Well, I mean, his general all-round performance is usually very good. He had 2 free kicks. that you're probably never going to score again in the first leg. But he's got a bit of everything, Declan Rice, hasn't he? I mean, he's not the greatest passer, but he can pass it. He works hard. He's a bit like Valverde in a sense of he can cover all the ground, gets up and down, will score some goals, will get back and tackle. Just a dynamic modern-day midfielder, and over the two legs, he was superb.
Well, I don't think it's an exaggeration to sit back and say, if you're Carlo Ancelotti or Real Madrid or a Real Madrid fan, it's like, I wish we had that guy playing in the midfield for us. Because far better than Camavinga in the first leg, far better than Tchouaméni in the second leg, far better than any midfielder that Real Madrid showcased. And today Valverde was in the midfield. He was playing as a right back in the first leg. That didn't quite work out. But it's just too much space for him to cover. And Declan Rice would be ideal for Real Madrid because they lack athleticism and quality on the ball when it comes to that area of the field. They don't have enough numbers, and Declan Rice exposed that, along with Odegaard and Partey.
And they've come into this game, but I mentioned it, without a recognised striker, with Bukayo Saka coming back off, 3 months? 4 months of a hamstring?
Makeshift back four.
With a makeshift back four, with Kivior coming in, who, was going to be the weak link, and he had a bad 10 minutes or so at the Emirates, but apart from that, he partnered William Saliba pretty well. And Arsenal have stepped up. They've stepped up and actually shown that, they're in the semi-final, but they could win it.
Yeah.
I know they've never won this competition before, but they are if they believe in it, they are strong enough to win this competition.
Frank, we were sat here yesterday looking ahead to the game, and everyone thought, look, it's Real Madrid, they're going to put up a fight. They might not get enough goals, but we think they're going to beat Arsenal, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be tight on the night. What happened? There was nothing today.
Well, two things. I think Arsenal were stronger, simply stronger, and handled the craziness of Real Madrid at the beginning of the game, let's say. But they knew, and Ali did it in the way that they knew exactly what to do because they were organized, they were structures. In contrary with Real Madrid. Real Madrid tried to put, some aggressiveness, and we saw Alaba getting a yellow card very quickly. Of course, Rudiger trying some tricks and everything, but there was nothing from Real Madrid in terms of thoughts, organization, and what we can do to overcome and try to beat Arsenal. There was, I think, in the second half, they had Real Madrid had a corner kick. Nobody came back. There were 8 strikers. With 2 defenders, I think it was Valverde and Vasquez, but nobody came back in the middle of the park. They didn't care. They only wanted to score a goal like games from a 10 years old team. That was insane, and that's what I saw. That I saw a team capable of doing something because you have a star who can do something different. The 4 magics, as we call them, but there is nothing. Structure like the Gunners had today, knowing that we are strong enough because we are a team. We play all together, we work together, we defend and attack together. That was the main difference between the two teams.
We wondered if we were going to get this Galactico 20 minutes, half an hour, all guns blazing. And if we're being honest, they were hopeless.
But everyone was.
Yeah,
Vinicius Junior, Mbappe, Rodrigo, Bellingham.
But I'm looking, that's the big stars I'm looking at. Bellingham, charging around, frustrated, bashing people, being clumsy in challenges but not doing anything. Vinicius Junior, mumping on about Ballon d'Ors and so forth, and his mate Rodrigo crying because his mate never won it. And then you've got the guy who's had a disgraceful week, Kylian Mbappe, with that challenge. And he was useless. He was, he made absolutely no difference whatsoever. Absolutely nothing. They got nothing from the big stars. Up until the mistake from William Saliba, it was one of the easiest nights, really, if we're being honest, that David Raya has had. He may need to make a couple of soft saves, but he wasn't papered. And quite frankly, this era of...
You said, it was interesting, I think it was 20 minutes ago, you said, has anyone told Real Madrid they're 3 down?
What happened? It was Arsenal that was pushing.
Where is that spark? Where is that drive that we associate with this team in the Champions League?
I think it's got to a stage they're all looking around at each other and saying, who's going to do it?
Right.
They're not doing it as a unit. They're not squeezing and then the midfield goes and then the forwards push. They're doing it as individuals and they're all sort of looking around. Who's going to do it for us? Who's going to change the game? And is it a piece of brilliance? That's what it's been from Real Madrid. It's rarely been structured. It's been a piece of individual brilliance. And for that reason, because they're so off the cuff, that's when they lose the ball, you see so many gaps appearing in the middle of the park. And I know they lost Toni Kroos, and I know they lost, Karim Benzema before, and all this sort of thing. But they should be better than this. And you have to say, as much credit as he's had over the years, a lot of this falls on the shoulder of the manager.
Yeah, he's gone. I think no matter what happens now, Carlo Ancelotti will never manage the Champions League at Real Madrid again.
Well, and it's taken absolutely nothing away from Ancelotti, who's been amazing as a coach. But he's had the whole season to figure this out. It's been happening since match day one. Where was it? Las Palmas? Or Mallorca?
Yeah.
Mallorca, match day one, or whatever it was, we sat back and went, that wasn't very good. Next week will be better. It wasn't. Next week will be better. No, he's going to figure it out. He will figure this out because he's too good a manager. He has not figured it out. And we're seeing it in La Liga, still sort of hanging, but we definitely saw it again tonight.
And we've seen it against all the big teams. Barcelona, obviously, twice. We saw Atletico Madrid outplay them in the two legs in the round leading up to this. Liverpool won, Milan won. Whenever they're up against a team that have got some quality and are organised and are structured, Real Madrid don't have a clue.
The common thread of all these remontadas that we were talking about yesterday, that were on, I believe it was on Marca, and they had all this history of the times in which Real Madrid has been able to come back. Yeah, there is some magic there. Yeah, there is some mystical powers. Yeah, there is some history as well. But you know what there was as well? Quality. Quality of play. High level of performance. And we have been watching Real Madrid every single weekend, waiting and hoping to see that quality that on paper seems to be there, but on the field it has not been displayed with any sort of consistency. Why do I bring all of this up? You just mentioned, any time that they play against a really good team, or a team that's organized, or a team that's structured, or a team that has talent that can match the qualities of Real Madrid, they get destroyed. And it's not even as if these matches are close. All you have to do is watch when they play Barcelona this season. It hasn't been close. It wasn't close against Liverpool. It wasn't close against Arsenal. It hasn't been close because those teams can match some of the quality, yes, and they also have the added, I can't believe I'm saying the added factor, because you would imagine that a team like Real Madrid would have this structure, organization. They're broken. We said that last week, and it continues to be the case. They are broken and have been broken, and to the point of Carlo Ancelotti, at some point during this season, he made a decision. It must have been a decision with his coaching staff, his son. He must have made a decision and said, you know what? We're just going to let him play. And whatever happens, happens. And that is the worst mistake that he could have made, because this team was never a team.
I think there is a statement to make after having seen Paris Saint-Germain with Neymar, Messi and Mbappe not doing anything in the Champions League, no working together, no organization, no structure. We just wait for the stars to make the difference. And this season with Bellingham, Rodrigo, Vinicius Junior and Mbappe, we see exactly the same thing. So the statement to make is, when you have a superstar, it's already complicated. When you have two, it's becoming impossible. And when you have three, it's even worse. That's what it is. That's really what it is in the modern world. I mean, you're comparing to Arsenal what we have seen, comparing to Inter Milan, how they work together, Paris Saint-Germain this season, comparing to last season, and also Liverpool. All those teams who work together because you don't have a mega star, who disturbs, in a way, the organization that you need to work and to be able to get something out of it. It's complicated. The world of football is complicated nowadays. We can see Manchester City, best team in the world, boom, bye-bye, in one season, in 6 months. Same thing for Real Madrid. Things are changing right nowadays, and you have to make sure you are able to cope with the situation. Neither Guardiola nor Ancelotti were able to cope with the situation. We are talking about the two best coaches in the world. Coaches.
I just want to move on to Kylian Mbappe. How has his arrival made this team worse? Because it has. That's without question now.
Because the relationship between Vinicius and Rodrigo has been splintered. The space that Bellingham had to drive into is not there anymore. And dare I say it, Mbappe's arrival shunted some of the players into different positions to start with. Like Bellingham was playing in the left side of a midfield four or the right side. He wasn't playing in that number 10 role behind a Vinicius and a Rodrigo that worked really well last year. They played sort of a bit narrow as two strikers. You know, they weren't playing together, they weren't playing wide, they were playing these little pockets that were difficult for defenders to mark, and when defenders would step out, there was Bellingham hitting that gap. There's been none of that. He's been poor. He's made Real Madrid worse. He's made it all about him. We've talked about him regularly, but what he did at the weekend has been well documented. We've all had our thoughts on it. But could you put that behind? Could he put that behind him for a few days and put on a performance and drag this Real Madrid side to something special? And the answer was a clear no. I've really had a bee in my bonnet about this guy since he started mucking Real Madrid around a couple of years ago. I just got a bad feeling, a bad smell about it. And Real Madrid pursued him. And currently, as we speak, it is more difficult to fit this Real Madrid team into a proper team with him in it. And that's been a huge Ancelotti will never say that. But that's been a huge problem, I think, for Carlo Ancelotti every week.
I just want to remind people of the starting 11 for the Champions League final that we saw against Borussia Dortmund. Obviously, Real Madrid winning that tie. In theory, with Kylian Mbappe in the team, it should make it better. But there isn't that. Obviously, Toni Kroos has left. But really, you look at that, there isn't too many other big losses apart from Dani Carvajal at right back.
And I must say, while Toni Kroos was a tremendous player for Real Madrid and had a really good season last year for Real Madrid, we were also having conversations at times in which we were saying, well, Toni Kroos and Luka Modric cannot play together anymore in a big game. So a lot of people have been hanging on to Toni Kroos and his absence, saying, well, that's what's wrong with Real Madrid. That's only part of the conversation, and it's actually a convenient explanation. When it comes to Kylian Mbappe, there are a couple of things that are obvious to me. He doesn't want to play in the center striker position. Why? It's obvious because of his movement or lack thereof in that center striker position. And as a forward, I can tell you, a lot of his movements make no sense. A lot of his movements are not about finding positions inside the 18-yard box. Watch his movement away from the ball when somebody's about to cross the ball. More times than not, he gets into a position sort of like trailing the play in the top of the 18-yard box instead of having that instinct of, I got to be there, in front of goal. That's where I live and die. He didn't do it and hasn't done it. So what is his natural position, quote unquote, where Vini is? Well, is he going to play in place of Vini? Then what do you do with Vini? And while all that conversation is going on, Vini's saying, I'm the Ballon d'Or winner. Yeah. I'm the guy. And so you have a guy that doesn't want to play down the middle, that wants to play down the left. Vini thinks he's a Ballon d'Or winner, and neither one of them are having a great season. And on top of all that, then you have the other guy, Rodrigo, who's saying, well, what do I do? Yeah. If he's going to play and he's going to play, then where do I play? I have to go over there? Yeah. And now Bellingham, who was scoring goals, supporting from behind, now his spaces, as Craig alluded to it, they're occupied by Kylian Mbappe. And so he's not getting his goals, and he's not tracking back either. Never mind Toni Kroos. You look at the effect of the presence of Kylian Mbappe and how it changes everybody else's role, and it actually affects you all the way back to the midfield. And to be fair to Carlo Ancelotti, you add the injuries of Carvajal, that doesn't help. The injury of Militao, that doesn't help. The injuries that they have had over the course of the season. But I'm not going to make that an excuse, because this is a manager who we have talked about in a very positive way, because in years past, he's been able to figure out the lack of players because of injuries and the absences. He was able to do it. He was not able to do it this season with the presence of Kylian.
There's only one game this season from the off. It's not Borussia. No, it's not.
Oh, okay. I thought we were going back to Dortmund.
No. Man City at the Etihad. when Real Madrid in the first 20 minutes pressed like hell.
Yep.
And I'm including Mbappe and Vinicius, and it was like, they came out and they were like, bang. So they can do it. They can do it. They don't want to do it. But when you've got a midfield as powerful as they had today, they should have been able to go toe-to-toe with Arsenal. Tchouaméni, Valverde, Bellingham. That's strong. But how easy was it for Partey and Rice and Odegaard to get on the ball? It's structure. There's just no... The powerful players, they're all big and they're fit and they can run and they can tackle in the midfield. But they couldn't do it today. Never got close.
Sorry, Craig. I also say that if indeed, to the point about pressing, how many times we see Vinny Jr. walking, and we see Mbappe walking, and we see Rodrigo walking. How are you going to press if these guys are going to walk?
Yeah.
And you, if you're a manager and you're asking them to do something, but the reaction is to walk, because I have to imagine, Carlo Ancelotti, I have to imagine, have gone after Vinicius and Mbappe and Rodrigo and say, look, if we're going to play this way, you guys have to be able to defend and help us out, and you're going to have to press the ball together. And we're going to have to make it difficult for other teams so that they don't find those outlets that Greg is talking about so easily. Walking. And it's been walking in big games, in small games,
Real
in tiny
Sociedad,
games.
Ancelotti was going to take Vinny off.
It's walking. Walking doesn't help anybody.
That was the game where he told him...
Yes.
He basically said to him, are you going to run?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you going to do something? You're going to run, at least run.
Yeah.
I can't help it if you make a mistake or you hit a bad cross. But you can, the least you can do is run. And to Ali's point, last year, they had one player, maybe two, that didn't work hard. Vinicius and Rodrigo. Maybe Rodrigo did a bit more. But you say you had one player, 1.5. This year, you got 2 or 3 who are not working, who are not chasing, who are not pressing. And that's put too much of a strain onto the others.
Come on, Frank.
Yeah, the thing is I don't like about Ancelotti, I didn't like, because I'm really an admirer of his work. But if you're Ancelotti, you have the free will of deciding if whatever you want in front of anybody. Because you are Carlo Ancelotti, you want so many things, and you are the top of the top. Put them on the bench. If they don't want to run, put them on the bench. Be straightforward with them. Say, I don't like your attitude. As long as you won't run, you won't play. And I don't want one player not running for the other team. And Vinicius Jr. was already too much last season. Now you have 2 or even 3 with Rodrigo who don't want to run. Put them on the bench. Put people who want to work for the team. You are Carlo Ancelotti. You're not, somebody randomly who comes on the bench for Real Madrid. You have no power. You have all the power that you need. I don't want to listen to the fact that the board, maybe in Real Madrid, say, no, Vinicius Jr., Mbappe, they have to play. No, I'm Carlo Ancelotti. I decide who plays. And I'm sorry, he didn't do that. And I'm disappointed about that. I don't have the explanation why he didn't have the free hand to decide who should have played instead of some people who always played because they had names.
Because these guys are game changers.
That's the thing.
They're supposed to be.
21 kilometres over the 2 legs. Arsenal ran more than Real Madrid.
So it was 12 in the first.
Yeah, 8.5 tonight.
At home, in front of your own fans.
Crazy.
In a game that you have to chase, you have to win. You've got to win your tackles. You've got to win your duels. You've got to win your battles. You outfight them, you outrun them. You can't outscore them, but you can do the rest.
Yeah.
That sums it up. Just a lack of desire to go and do the basics of this game.
So, Real Madrid out of the Champions League, which means the semi-final is set between Arsenal and PSG. PSG go into the tie as favourites. Obviously, Frank, we've got a lot of time to look ahead to this game, but initial thoughts on it?
Well, I don't know if they are the favourite, Paris Saint-Germain. I'm not sure about that, I mean,
They are the favourites.
We saw
Frank.
the game yesterday against... Yeah, they are the favourite for the bookers, but I saw the game yesterday, they played against Aston Villa, and I'm sorry. If I compare with Arsenal today, we were almost sure to go through. They did the job. Yeah, when they scored the 4th goal, they got a little bit sloppy. I think Raya should have said to Saliba, be careful, man on, whatever. But it took them only 2 minutes to settle down and go back to their best. They never felt weak. Where Paris Saint-Germain, I don't know, we don't know. There's going to be another game. I think the first game at the Emirates is going to be crucial for the Gunners, but also for Paris Saint-Germain. But really, that's possible for anybody to win that game. That's going to be very interesting because those two teams, they like to go forward. And if Arsenal plays the way they played the two legs against Real Madrid, against the Paris Saint-Germain who plays the two legs against Liverpool, that's going to be the game of the century, I tell you.
Wow.
I take the Paris Saint-Germain front line over Real Madrid's.
Oh, goodness me, definitely.
By a stretch at the moment.
Yes.
So that's going to be a different beast for Arsenal to deal with when you look at what PSG have in their front line. So, but it's definitely a 50-50 game. This.
Who have you got?
Well, it's 50-50.
Well,
yeah, I mean, I think it's a very tight call. I know Real Madrid have not been great, but that was impressive from Arsenal over two legs. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because PSG, the way they play.
it's a good one. It's good for
No,
us.
it's a good call. PSG.
League One, Craig. League One.
Yeah, now just say Arsenal to spite it.
PSG.
PSG. Arsenal did beat them, of course, back in October. That's back in October, by the way. 2-0. Obviously, PSG have advanced.
While it may not be the game of the century, as Frank is alluding to, I would say that it should be fun.
Yeah, it should.
It should be fun because the matchup, when you see the strength of both teams and you're thinking about that matchup of, say, Declan Rice, Vitinha, in the midfield, Fabian Ruiz, Martin Odegaard, it makes you think, okay, there is something here. Plus the attacking talent on the outside from both teams as well. I'm going to say 51-49 PSG.
Whoa, there you go.
All those games.
Second?
Do we know when those games are?
Coming up.
That was October over there.
When they on 28th, late April, early May. There we go. All right.
29th, 29 and 6. 29 and 6.
The Gunners have spoken, and Europe is listening. If you enjoyed this historic night, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss what's next. The road to glory continues, and we'll be here every step of the way. Thanks for watching, and as always, come on, you Gunners.